Good morning, friends. Today we are going to take up some numerical problems on salary income, and hope this particular session will be very beneficial. And I will try to my level best in covering all the allowances, perquisites, and retirement benefits in the problems which I am going to discuss with you. So the first problem on income from salary. So the following information is furnished of S. Ramesh Kumar Mehta for the financial year 2019-20. The basic salary is 1 lakh rupees per month. The DA is 50,000 for per month, and the entire amount forms a part of the retirement benefits. Number three, bonus is 2 months basic salary, which is 2 lakh rupees. Number four, contribution of the employer to recognized provident fund of the employee at the rate of 15% on basic salary. So this is 15% of basic salary is contributing. He's contributing 15% on basic salary and DA. Number four. Number five, rent-free accommodation, rent-free unfurnished accommodation provided by the employer to the employee, and this rent-free accommodation is provided in Mumbai. This particular house or accommodation is owned by the company. This is the fifth point. Number sixth point, recognized provident fund contribution by Mr. S. Ramesh Kumar Mehta for the financial year is 1.5 lakh rupees. The health insurance premium for his family paid by check is 50,000 rupees. Health insurance premium in respect of parents paid by check is 28,000 rupees, and his parents are senior citizens. Medical expenses of the dependent brother of Mr. S. Ramesh Kumar Mehta with severe disability is rupees 60,000. Interest on loan taken for education of his son studying and in become full time in a recognized college is rupees 24,000. Interest on loan taken of a student of Mr. S. Ramesh Kumar Mehta, who is the legal guardian for pursuing his higher education in BSc full time in a recognized university is 20,000 rupees. So, uh, as far as these items are concerned, these are the items which fall under section 80C to 80U, and he will get deductions at specified amounts subject to certain limits, and these are his incomes, and we will find out how much of this incomes under the head salary are taxable and how much are exempted. So let's take up the solution to the problem. So the numerical solution, the solution to the problem of problem one is as follows. So basic salary is, as already told, 1 lakh rupees per month into 12 is equal to 12 lakh rupees, and the rule is fully taxable. This is fully taxable. Number one. Number two is dearness allowance. Dearness allowance, he has received 50,000 per month for full 12 months. It is 60,000 rupees. It is fully taxable. 6 lakh rupees, which is fully taxable. Bonus, 2 months basic salary. So it is 2 lakh rupees, which is fully taxable. Now, very important is employer's contribution to recognized provident fund is now look at the problem. The problem states that the employer has contributed to the recognized provident fund of the employee 15% of basic salary and DNS allowance. So let's see how much he has contributed to recognized provident fund of the employee. Given basic salary is 1 lakh rupees and is 50,000 rupees. So please remember these figures. Basic salary is 1 lakh rupees and DA is 50,000 rupees. So as per the rules of Income Tax Act 1961, please remember that he can contribute 12%. The employer can contribute to the employee's recognized provident fund 12% of towards recognized provident fund of the employee, 12% of basic salary and DA, and whatever he has uh, contributed over and above this 12% is fully taxable. So let's talk how much he has contributed. 15% is what he has contributed. 15% of 1 lakh plus 50,000 is DA is equal to 1,50,000 into 12 months he has contributed, which is 18 lakhs, and 15% he has contributed. So 1,80,000. So he has contributed to the recognized provident fund of the employee, sorry, 2,70,000 rupees. Again, I'm showing you the calculations. He has contributed 15% to the employee's recognized provident fund. So 15% of basic salary and DA. So basic salary is 1 lakh rupees, DA is 15,000 rupees. So per month it is 1,50,000 rupees into 12 months he is contributing. So 1,80,000 into 15 percentage. So he has contributed 2,70,000 rupees towards the contribution of the employer to the recognized provident fund of the employee. Contribution to the recognized provident fund of the employee. But how much is exempted? It is exempted to the tune of 12 percentage. So 12 percentage is 18 lakhs into 12 percentage. 12 percentage is equal to 2 lakh 16,000 rupees. So on 18 lakh rupees, he is supposed to contribute 12 percentage so that the employee will get full exemption. So 2 lakh 16,000 rupees is the exemption. So he should have contributed 2 lakh 60,000, but he has contributed, the employer has contributed to the recognized provident fund of the employee 2 lakh 70,000 rupees. So the difference between these two is 54,000 rupees, which is excess. He has contributed to the recognized provident fund contribution of the employer. So this is fully taxable. So this is fully taxable. So 54,000 is fully taxable. So hope this is clear. One, two, three, and four. We will talk about rent-free accommodation. Rent-free unfurnished accommodation. So there is no furniture. So we have to calculate rent-free accommodation. Now please remember, this accommodation is provided by the employer to the employee at a place in Bombay. So in this case, when the house rent-free accommodation is provided by the employer to the employee, the value of the rent-free accommodation at Bombay, Mumbai, whose population is more than 25 lakhs, is equal to 15% of salary. 15% of salary. 15% of salaries. So these are the rules which were discussed in my previous sessions on perquisites pertaining to rent-free accommodation. So if the house is accommodation is provided by the employer to the employee, and this accommodation is owned by the employer, and if the accommodation is provided at a place where the total population is more than 25 lakhs, and then in such a case the value of the perquisite in the form of rent-free accommodation is equal to 15% of salary. 15% of salary. Salary for the purpose is basic salary plus DA if DA is forming a part of retirement benefits, plus bonus, plus fees, plus commission, plus taxable allowances and taxable allowances and monetary benefits or monetary expenses of employee borne by the employer. So all these four or five items you have to put together and calculate 15%. So let's take and look what are the items to be considered for the purpose of calculation of rent-free accommodation. So basic salary plus DA plus bonus. This we will not consider because this is not forming a part of retirement benefit. So 12 lakhs plus 6 lakhs is 18 lakhs. 18 lakhs plus 2 lakhs is 20 lakh rupees is equal to 20 lakh rupees. So for this, we have to take basic salary plus DA plus bonus, which is totaling to 12 plus 6 plus 2 is equal to 20 lakhs. 20 lakhs into 15 percentage is equal to 3 lakh rupees. So 3 lakh rupees is the value of the per visit in the form of rent-free unfurnished accommodation. So if you want to further understand what is 3 lakhs, if you divide by 12, it is 25,000 rupees. So a accommodation which is provided by the employer to the employee is 25,000 rupees per month is roughly the way we have to understand precisely. You have to understand this. So this is fully taxable in the hands of the employee. Now these are the incomes and which are forming a part of salary: basic salary, DA, bonus, taxable part of contribution of the employer towards employees recognized provident fund over and above or excess to 12 percentage, which is 54,000 rupees, and value of rent free accommodation. So if you total this, this will be around the total salary income, total income from salary. So it is 18 lakhs. So 12 lakhs plus 6 lakhs is 18 lakhs. 18 plus 20, 18 plus 2 is 20 lakhs. 20 plus 20 plus 54,000 is 20 lakhs 54,000 plus 3 lakhs is total 23 lakhs 54,000. Now there is a standard deduction under section 16(1)(a). So that standard deduction is 40,000 rupees deducted. So the gross salary is 23 lakhs 14,000 rupees. Now he has contributed and he can claim deductions under section 80C, 80D, 80DD, 80E, and look at these cases on individual basis. So it is given in the problem that he has contributed to his own recognized provident fund 1,50,000 rupees. 1,50,000 rupees. Yes, he has contributed 1,50,000. This is the one he can claim deduction under section 80C. So he can claim 15 lakhs of deduction. Oh, sorry, 1,50,000 as deduction. The maximum amount which can be claimed as deduction under section 80C is 1.5 lakh rupees. Number one. Number two, 80D is 80D. He has contributed to health insurance premium. Health insurance premium for his family, which was paid by check of 20,000 rupees, and he has even contributed to the health insurance premium of his parents who are senior citizens by paying a amount of rupees 28,000 by check. So these two amounts can be claimed as deduction under section D with certain limits. So look at those rules which are under the purview of section 80D. So 48,000 can be claimed as a deduction under section 80D. So total deduction till so far is 1.5 lakhs plus 20,000 plus 28,000 is equal to 1,98,000. Next point. So this is over. Now medical treatment of a dependent brother who is having severe disability. If medical treatment medical treatment is there is a medical treatment which has taken place on the dependent brother and he has a severe disability, then he can claim irrespective of whether he has spent or not that amount of money, a amount of deduction which can be claimed under section 80D towards medical expenses of dependent brother dependent dependent who is having a severe disability to the tune of 1,25,000 rupees. So 1,25,000 can be taken as a deduction under section 80D. Now under section 80C, section 80E says that if any interest is paid on the loan taken for education of his son or any person who is any student who is a, for whom he is a legal guardian, that is a assessor is a legal guardian, then and subject to certain conditions, he can claim the deduction towards interest on loan taken for educational purpose. So in this case, 24,000 and 20,000 can be claimed as a deduction. So 44,000 can be claimed as deduction. So from 23 lakh 14,000, the deduction under section 80C, 80D, 80 D, and 80E can be claimed. And if once you have deducted this 1,98,000, 1,25,000, and 44,000, the total income of Mr. S. Ramesh Kumar Mehta for the financial year 2019-20 or assessment year 2021 is 19 lakh 47,000 rupees. Now let's take up the second problem. And the problem, the data is in front of you, the information is in front of you. Let's understand the given data and solve the problem. Mr. Mohit is employed in RSW EMM Limited, Bombay, on a monthly salary of 20,000 rupees. So this guy is working on a monthly salary of 20,000 rupees. Number one. Number two, he is entitled, in addition to his fixed salary, he is entitled to a commission of 5% on the sales made by him. And during the previous year, he has received the following allowances and amenities from the employer. DNS allowance is 10,000 rupees per month, which is granted to him under the terms and conditions of his employment and accounted for the purpose of retirement benefits. So 10,000 is taken into account for the calculation of retirement benefits. Bonus is equivalent to 2 months basic salary, and basic salary is 20,000 rupees. Medical allowance is 600 rupees per month. 600 per month. This is fully taxable. This is fully taxable. This is fully taxable. Entertainment allowance is 250 rupees. In case of entertainment allowance received by the employee who is working under private employment, is fully taxable. Next point, the commission, the company paid rupees 1,000 as his income tax penalty. So this guy was supposed to pay income tax penalty of 1,000 rupees, and these expenses were borne by the company. In September 2018, during leave, he went to a place on a visit to Kashmir with his family. So he is going for a LTC, leave travel concession. The expenditure amounting to rupees 16,000 as a passage money by air were provided to him by the employer as a leave travel assistance. So this guy has taken up a leave travel to a place to Kashmir with his family, and he has taken up a journey by air, and the expenses incurred of rupees 16,000 was reimbursed by the employer. Next one, he has been provided with amenities of gas, electricity, and water, the expenses of which are rupees 40,000 paid with the company. This is fully taxable because the expenses of the towards gas, electricity, and water of the employee, if it is borne by the employee, it is fully taxable. Commission on sales of rupees 10 lakhs at 10 percentage. So he is entitled for a commission of 1 lakh rupees. He has achieved a turnover of 10 lakh rupees, and he is entitled for 10%. Not sorry, here it is 10%. He was given a Titan watch of rupees whose worth was rupees 39,000 on the foundation day. So according to rule, a gift worth maximum of 5,000 rupees per annum can be given by the employer to the employee. Over and above, if it is there, it is fully taxable. Next point is, he and his employer each contributed 12.5% of his salary to the recognized provident fund. So as per the rule, maximum amount which can be contributed by the employer to the employee's recognized provident fund, as discussed in the previous problem, is 12%. Over and above, it is fully taxable. Number one. Number two is the interest credited to this fund, which is recognized provident fund, for the previous year at the rate of 27.5%, rate is amounting to 27,000. So whatever is the accumulated amount in the recognized provident fund of the employee, if interest is more than 9.5%, then please remember this is fully over and above the prescribed rate of 9.5%. This is fully taxable in the hands of the employee. So with this given information, let's solve the problem. Okay. So basic salary. Basic salary is 2,000 per month, 20,000 per month salary. Sorry, it is fully taxable, 2,40,000. DNS allowance is 10,000 per month is equal to 1,20,000. It is fully taxable. Commission is 1 lakh rupees. 10 lakhs into 10% is equal to 1 lakh rupees, which is fully taxable. Bonus, the rule is fully taxable. 2 months basic salary is bonus. 20,000 into 2 is 40,000 rupees, fully taxable. Next one is medical allowance. Medical allowance is, so there is a small error here, 600 rupees into 12 is equal to 7,200. This is 7,200. This is also fully taxable. Entertainment allowance, as I told, the rule for entertainment allowance is in case of a private employee, it is fully taxable. So RSWM is a private employment. This is fully taxable. 250 rupees into 12 is equal to 30,000. Sorry, 3,000 rupees is fully taxable. Next one is the income tax penalty, which was levied on employee by the income tax department was 1,000 rupees, and this 1,000 rupees was paid by the employer. Any monetary benefits accruing in the hands of the employee by the payment because of the payment of the employer, it is fully taxable. So 1,000 rupees is fully taxable in the hands of the employee. Gas, electricity, and water, the expenses of employee are paid by the employer. It is fully taxable. So the total amount of 24,000 paid by the employer of the employee is fully taxable. Gift, a wristwatch was given whose worth was 39,000 rupees. But the rules the rules says that a gift worth 5,000 rupees per annum can be extended over and above. It is fully taxable. So five out of 5,000 rupees, out of 39,000 rupees, 5,000 is exempted. Over and above, it is fully taxable. It is fully taxable. Next one is employer's contribution to recognized provident fund in excess of 12 percentage. In excess of 12 percentage. So here how much is contributing? Is contributing, the employer is contributing 12.5 percentage. So he should have contributed 12 percentage. So the difference of 0.5 percentage is fully taxable. This amount is fully taxable. So let's calculate it. So uh, employer's contribution to the recognized provident fund of the employee is basic salary 20,000 plus DA 10,000 is equal to 30,000 per month. So for the purpose of calculation of recognized contribution to the recognized provident fund, salary is equal to 30,000. So 30,000 plus even you have to take into account commission also, which is 1 lakh rupees. So 4 lakh rupees. 4 lakh rupees. So here uh, 2 lakh 40,000, sorry, 1 lakh 20,000 and 1 lakh. So 2 lakh 40,000 is the basic salary. 1 lakh 20,000 is the DNS allowance plus commission is 1 lakh. For the purpose of calculation of salary for the contribution to recognized provident is basic salary plus DA plus commission. So 3 lakhs, 2 lakh 40,000 plus 1 lakh 20,000 plus 1 lakhs is 4 lakh 60,000. So he should have contributed 12%. How much he has contributed? 12.5%. So 0.5% is excess he has contributed on this amount. So this is fully taxable. So 0.5% on 4,60,000 is 2,300. So this is fully taxable. Hope you have understood it. Next one. Next one is taxable part of interest on recognized provident fund. Recognized provident fund. See, in the recognized provident fund, there is a contribution of the employee as well as the employer every month, and it gets accumulated. And on this accumulated contribution of the employer and employee, uh, the provident fund earns interest. the maximum interest which can be earned without tax is 9.5 percentage. So every year, please remember this tax rates keeps changing. So you have to remember what is the maximum for a particular financial year or a previous year. For the previous year 2019-20, the maximum which can be earned without tax is 9.5 percentage, and over and above is fully taxable. In this case, he was earning how much? 27 percentage. Please remember this is 27 percentage. But what is the maximum limit without which maximum amount which is exempted from tax as far as interest on recognized provident fund is concerned is 9.5 percentage. So over and above it is fully taxable. So he was earning 27 percentage. So 27 percentage was the interest he was earning on the recognized provident fund, and this 27% made him to earn 27,000 rupees. So on this, because of this 27,000 percentage, he has earned 27,000 rupees as interest on the recognized provident fund. But the rule says that 9 up to 9.5% interest on recognized provident fund is exempted. So how much is the exemption? So how much is the exemption if the interest is 9.5 percentage? To find out this, just you have to cross multiply it. 9.5 into 27,000 by 27 is equal to 1000 into 9.5 is equal to 9500, is equal to 9500. So 9500. So please remember 9500 is exempted from tax, but he has earned 27,000. So you have to deduct 9,500 from 27,000, which is equal to 17,500. So 17,500 is taxable. Whatever is the over and above of 9,500 is fully taxable, and the difference is 17,500. So this is fully taxable under taxable part of interest on recognized provident fund. So up to this stage, I think it's clear. So if you total this all these items, the total gross salary is 8 lakhs 84,200. Standard deduction for the financial year is, I don't remember exactly the standard deduction, but assuming it is 50,000 rupees, you can refer to standard deduction uh, in the previous year 2019-20, and if the amount is 50,000 rupees, then you are eligible for standard deduction 50,000 rupees. This is all standard deduction is only for salaried employees. So 8,84,200 minus 50,000 is 8,34,200. This is the income now. So hope that these are all clear. So these are all calculations which were supposed to be utilized for the problem, and we have taken this as a note, and we have solved the problem. So the total salary income of Mr. Mohit for the financial year 2019-20 is 8,34,200, on which he has to pay tax, assuming that there are no other sources of income. Let's take up the third problem. The third problem is so Mr. Diwan is a director of a company. So it's a specified employee, assuming that he is a specified employee. So in the previous classes, talked about and discussed who is a specified employee. So his basic information about the income what he has earned in the previous year 2019-20 is furnished to you. So let's do the problem. Basic salary is 22,900. DA is 20% of basic salary, and 50% goes into the calculation of retirement benefits. That is 22,950 is basic salary, out of which 20% is paid as a DA, and out of this 50% goes into retirement benefits. Number two. Number three, he contributes 12% of salary and 50% of a DA to a recognized provident fund to which his employer contributes equal amount. So in this case, 12% is the contribution by the employee as well as the employer. So nothing is taxable as far as the contribution of employer towards recognized fund of the employee, because he also is contributing 12%. If anything, any contribution over and excess 12% is fully taxable in the hands of the employee. Next one is he has been provided rent-free house owned by the company, the fair rent of which is 72,000. So he's been provided with a accommodation in Bangalore, and this particular accommodation is owned by the employer, and the fair rent of this particular house is 72,000 per annum. Next one, he is getting a transport allowance of 1800 rupees per month for traveling from residence to office and back. Okay, this is next. Medical allowance 1000 rupees per month, fully taxable. Servant allowance 500 rupees per month, fully taxable. His club bills worth 5,000 were also reimbursed by the company. Let's look at the rule as we progress into the problem. He has been provided with a facility of gardener and cook, who are each paid 150 per month by the employer. Okay, we will also look at this technical rule as far as gardener and cook salary paid by the employer. He also is provided with a car of 20,000 cc by the employer for official use. Please remember, whenever the car is provided by the employer and whenever the situation is the car is used for the official purpose of the employment and not for employees' personal purpose, then there is no benefit accruing, and there is no value of the purpose, it is nil. Mr. Diwan has two children. Two children of Mr. Diwan are studying in an institute run by the employer, for which no fees is paid. Normal expenditure for student in such institution is 800 per month. So we will take up this in the solution, and we will discuss about the problem. Now let's go to the solution. So basic salary. So hope you remember all these items. Okay. So basic salary is 22,800 plus into 9 plus 23,400. So some information was there missing in the problem. So he was in a band and salary band, and because of this band, uh, he was drawing a basic salary of 22,800 per month for first 9 months, and subsequently for the next 3 months of the year. Because of that uh, salary band, he got 23,400 per month for 3 months as salary. So if you calculate the basic salary, it is 2,75,400 per month. DA, as I already told, is 20% of salary. So calculate 20% on this one, you will get 55,080 rupees. Transport allowance. So what is the rule for transport allowance? He's getting a transport allowance of 1,800 per month for traveling from resident to office and back. So uh, please remember, the rule for transport allowance is up to 600 rupees. Sorry, he was receiving how much? 1,800 per month. 1,800 into 12, 21,600. But the rule says that up to 600, 1,600 per month is exempted from tax. So exemption is 1,600 into 12 is equal to 19,200. So he should have got 19,200, which was fully exempted from tax, but he has got over and above, and he has got 21,600. So the difference is 2,400, which is fully taxable. So the taxable part. Next one is medical allowance. So he was getting around 1,000 rupees per month. So this is fully taxable. Servant allowance is also fully taxable. Club bills, whatever club bills are of the employee are reimbursed or paid by the employer, is fully taxable. In case of specified employee, cook and gardener provided by the employer to the employee is fully taxable. So 150 per month into 12 and 150 per month into 12 for gardener and cook is fully taxable. Motor car, I told you, if there is a motor car which is used totally and exclusively and wholly for the purpose of office or official purpose, it is fully exempted from tax. Now let's talk about children's educational facility. So his two children were studying in a educational institute which was uh, belonging to the employer. Okay, for and near to this particular school there was another school which was charging only 800 per month for similar kind of education. So the rule says that if the amount of education provided is over and above 1000 rupees per month, it is fully taxable. In this case, it is only 800 per month which is provided. So there is an exemption up to 1000 rupees per month, so nothing is taxable. Next one is rent free accommodation. Rent free accommodation, I told that this will go, basic salary will go, DA. DA 50% will go because 50% of the of DA will go into the formation of the retirement benefits. So this will go. 2400 of medical transport allowance will go. Medical allowance of 12,000 will go. Servant allowance of 6,000 will go, and this will not go because these are all perquisites. So for the purpose of calculation of rent-free accommodation, I have told you the salary is basic salary plus DA if DA is forming a part of retirement benefits. Number two, and taxable part of allowance. So 27,500, 2,75,400. Number one, 50% of DA because 50% of DA will go into the formation of retirement benefits. Transport allowance is taxable, this is taxable. Medical allowance, this is taxable. And servant allowance, this is taxable. So, and please remember, so please look at this. Here, only 50% of DA is taken. This is fully taken. Medical allowance, servant allowance, and all that stuff is taken. And we have assumed in this case that he is being provided with rent-free accommodation at a place in Bangalore. And we are assuming that the Bangalore is having a population of over and above 25 lakhs. So if a accommodation is provided with the employer to the employee at a place whose population is more than 25 lakhs and the accommodation belongs to the employer, that is owned by the employer, then the value of the perquisite in the form of rent-free accommodation is 15% of salary. Salary for the purpose is basic salary plus DA if DA is forming a part of retirement benefits and taxable part of allowances. So if you total it, it is 3,23,400, and on this 15% is the value of the perquisite, which is 48,501. So 48,501 is taken for the as a value of the rent-free accommodation. So if you total all this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 items, the total gross salary is 3,80,441. And standard deduction for a salaried employee is 50,000 rupees. And if you deduct 50,000 rupees from 3,80,441, income under the head salary is 3,30,441. So hope this problem is also clear. Let's take up the fourth problem under the head income from salary. Now this problem primarily focus on retirement benefits like pension, gratuity, leave encashment, sale of motor car, and other items. So let's take up this problem. Mr. X is retiring from a service of Y Limited on 31 2020. So he has worked for 9 months during the year. That is April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. And in the from the month of January, he is retiring after completing service of 30 years and 1 month. Okay, so this is one part. Gratuity 76 lakhs rupees. He has received a gratuity of 76 lakh rupees. Number one. Number two is leave encashment. Has received a leave encashment of 73 lakhs 30,000 rupees. 73 lakh, sorry, this is 7 lakh 60,000. Okay, let's see some mistakes are there as far as um, the numbers are concerned. So gratuity is 7 lakh 60,000, which was covered under gratuity at 1972. Leave encashment is 7 lakhs 30,000 for 330 days of leave, which were balanced to his account. He was credited 30 days leave. He was for each completed year of service. So he was entitled for 30 days of leave for each completed year of service. Number three, he purchased one motor car from the company on 31 2020. This car was purchased by the company on 1/7/2016 by company for rupees 75 lakhs. It was put to use by the company on the same date. The car was sold by the company to Mr. X for 72 lakhs. Company depreciates the vehicle at the rate of 15% on straight line method. This is the car which is sold by the employer to the employee. So some figures again, maybe I feel there are some mistakes in this figures. An amount of 3 lakh is the total commutation amount of the two-thirds of the pension. Company presented him with a gift voucher of 6 lakhs, 6,000 on retirement. His colleague also gifted him a television worth 1 lakh 50,000 rupees from their own contribution. So his basic salary was 20,000 DA per month from 149 and 50% DA. So 50% DA from 149 2019 to 31st January 2020. So he's worked up to January. Sorry, received pension of rupees 5,000 per month for the period of 1 to 2020 to 31st March. So this is the uncommuted pension or monthly payment of pension. So this problem primarily focus on gratuity, leave encashment, motor car transferred by the employer to the employee, commuted pension, gifts on retirement. The colleagues also gave him a gift, basic salary, DA, and monthly payment of pension, which is uncommuted pension. So let's take up the problem and we will solve it. So, okay, basic salary. So all the notes are there, uh, which will help you to overcome the numerical errors which are there in the problem. Basic salary, as I already told, is 20,000 per month. He has worked from April to January, so it consists of 10 months. So 2 lakh rupees is salary income in the form of basic salary. This is fully taxable as the rule speaks. DA is 50% of salary. Gift voucher, as I already told, he has got a gift of 6,000 rupees. So the rule says that up to 5,000 rupees from the employer, you can get the gift as an employee, but over and above, it is fully taxable. So 1,000 rupees is fully taxable. Motor car. So we have a numerical solution to the car, and this is 56,000. So working notes is there. I will show you at that place. Uncommuted pension is, see, he has worked from April to January, and he retired on 31st January to 2020. So the remaining part of the year he's going to get a monthly payment of pension, monthly pension, or which is also called as uncommuted pension of 5,000 rupees. So 5,000 into 2 is equal to 20,000. So this is also fully taxable. This part we will see in the working notes. Uncommuted pension. Uncommuted pension. So look at this point of commuted pension. See, an amount of 3 lakhs as commutation of two-thirds of the pension. So he has commuted two-thirds of the pension. So total pension is equal to So we will see this part also later, this particular part. Gratuity, there is a working notes. Leave encashment also, there is a working notes. Standard deduction. So let's talk about commuted pension. So commuted pension is see here, he has commuted two-thirds of the pension. So he is, please remember this point is very important, and we will solve this particular point. Commuted pension. So commuted pension received by the employer, received by the employee from the employer at the time of retirement. In case of a government employee, he is fully exempted from tax. But however, if it is received, this commuted pension is received by the employee from a private employment, then there are certain conditions. These conditions have to be followed. So, if he's receiving gratuity as well as pension, then in such a case, half of the total pension is exempted, and the calculations are going like this. Let's calculate it. So the basic requirement is you should know the rules and regulations of commuted pension. So first and foremost, our our point is we have to find out the total pension. Total pension is equal to, see, two-thirds he has commuted and he has got 3 lakh rupees. So what is the total pension? Total pension, see, commuted pension is he has commuted two-thirds and he has got 3 lakh rupees. So if you want to find out the total uh, pension, it is cross multiply 3 lakhs into 3 by 12, 3 by 2, sorry. So if you calculate, you will get 4.5 lakh rupees. So the total pension is 4.5 lakh rupees. So the total pension is 3 lakhs into 3 by 2 is equal to 4.5 lakh rupees. If you look here, 4.5 lakh rupees. So in this case, he is getting a total commuted pension of 3 lakh rupees. So in this case, when he is receiving both gratuity as well as pension, then one third of the total pension is exempted from tax. Total pension is exempted from tax. Again, I'm reiterating, that is 4.5 lakhs is the total pension into one third is equal to 1.5 lakhs is equal to, this is the amount which is exempted from tax. So he has received 3 lakh rupees. The exempted amount of commuted pension is 1.5 lakh rupees, and over and above is fully taxable. So let me clear this particular point, which is very, very important. I will start from the beginning as far as taxable part of commuted pension is concerned. Commuted pension is concerned. In this particular problem, it is given that he has commuted two-thirds of the total pension. Two-thirds of the pension is been commuted, which is, and he is getting 3 lakh rupees as commuted pension, or total lump sum payment of pension. So two-thirds of the total pension is commuted and is getting a bulk amount of 3 lakh rupees as a commuted pension. Now, this is the first step. Second step is you have to find out what is the total pension to which he is entitled. So to find out this, cross multiply this one with this one. So 3 lakhs into 3 by 2 is equal to 4 lakh 50,000 rupees. So total pension is 4 lakh 50,000 rupees, out of which 3 lakh rupees is commuted, and the remaining 1.5 lakhs is uncommuted, which is the reason why he's going to get monthly payment of pension. Now, once he's getting a monthly, commuted pension or a lump sum payment of pension, and he being a private employee, then there are some rules to be followed to find out the taxable part of the commuted pension. The rule says that if he's receiving both pension as well as gratuity, then one third of the total pension is exempted. If he's receiving only pension, then half of the total pension is exempted from tax. But in this case, it is found out that is getting gratuity as well as pension. So in this case, one third of the total pension is commuted from tax. One third of the total pension is exempted from tax. Now, what is the one third of total pension? So 4.5 lakhs into one third is equal to 1.5 lakhs. So this is exempted from tax. So how much he was getting? 3 lakh rupees is the commuted pension or total lump sum payment. So out of this 3 lakhs, 1.5 lakhs is exempted. The remaining 1.5 lakhs is fully taxable. Hope this is clear. Next one is gratuity. Let's look at the way the working notes is showing the calculations of gratuity as well as pension as well as leave encashment. So gratuity. So list of the following is exempted. First one is he has received here. Okay. Now this is 6 lakh rupees. Okay. This is, please remember, this is 6 lakh rupees and this is 6 lakh rupees. He is receiving a gratuity of this was is rupees 6 lakhs. So in this case, he is receiving a gratuity of 6 lakh rupees. Number one. Number two. These are the rules. Okay. There are three rules. Actual amount of gratuity received rupees 10 lakhs, which is specified by the government. Number two is number three, sorry, 15 days salary for each completed year of service, and the last grant salary is the salary for the purpose of calculation of gratuity. So the last grant salary is basic salary plus DA is equal to 30,000 rupees. Salary for the purpose of calculation of gratuity is pension is basic salary plus gratuity. If he is receiving gratuity under Gratuity Act 1972. So he is receiving gratuity under Gratuity Act 1972. Okay. So the last run salary is basic plus DA, which is 30,000 rupees. So you will get half month salary, that is 15 divided by 26, and into number of years of service is equal to 30. If you calculate this, you will get this amount. So first amount is 6 lakhs, second amount is 10 lakhs, third amount is 5 lakhs 19,231. So the lowest among the three is 5 lakhs 19,231. 5 lakhs 19,231. How much he was receiving? 6 lakhs. So out of 6 lakh rupees what he has received as gratuity, 5 lakhs 19,231 is exempted. The remaining 80,769 is fully taxable. So 80,769 is fully taxable. So this is the way you have to calculate. Now let's talk about leave salary. Let's talk about leave salary. Leave salary is, the rules are leave encashment received, and the leave encashment what he has received is 3 lakhs 30,000 rupees. Number one. This is number one. Number two, actual, number one is the actual amount of leave encashment received. So this is F is 7 is, please remember this is RS. So he has received 3 lakhs 30,000 as leave encashment. So this is number one, actual leave encashment received by the employee from the employer at the time of retirement. Number one. Number two is 10 months salary. 10 months salary. So 10 months salary is 10 months salary is. So please remember, salary for the purpose of the salary for the purpose is a basic salary and DA. If DA is forming a part of or retirement benefits. So here in this case, yes, it is assumed that uh, DA is not forming a part of retirement benefits, and that's the way this particular problem has been solved. and only basic salary I am taking into account. But in case of examination, at the time of examination in the paper, they will mention how much of the retirement, how much of the DA is going into the calculation of retirement benefit. So 10 months average, 10 months average monthly salary. That is 10 into 20,000 is equal to 2 lakhs. Number three is 3 lakh rupees, which is specified with the government. Number four is number of number of days of leave still to the credit of the employee, which cannot be utilized. See, there are some leaves which are still unavailed, and he can't avail because he is now retiring. So, at the time of retirement, how many days were still pending or leaves which were not availed? What 330. So, convert this into months. So, it will be roughly around 11 months. So 11 months equivalent salary. So 11 months into 20,000 is 2 lakhs 20,000. So you've got now four figures, 3 lakhs 30,000. What is received? 10 months salary, average monthly salary is here. We take average monthly salary of last 10 months. This is the amount prescribed by the government as a maximum amount which can be given uh, as a leave encashment. And last one is whatever is the amount of leaves created still unavailed, they have to be converted into months, and that much equivalent of a salary is to be given as a leave salaries. So in this case, 330 days were left, which were unavailed. It is converted into into months, which is 11 months into salary is equal to 2 lakhs 20,000. So among these 1, 2, 3, 4, whichever is lowest is 2 lakh rupees is exempted. 2 lakhs is exempted from tax, and over and above whatever he has received is exempted, is taxable. So in this case, he received 3 lakhs 30,000, exempted is 2 lakhs, so 1 lakh 30,000 is fully taxable. So here you can see 1 lakh 30,000 is fully taxable. So if you total all these items, you will get that the gross salary is 7 lakhs 27,690. Standard deduction, assuming it is 40,000, it keeps on changing year on year. So as of now, I don't remember exactly for financial year 1920 how much is the amount. Assuming it is 40,000 rupees, you deduct it, and the income under the head salary is 6 lakhs 87,689. Income from other source. See, here in this case, his colleagues also gifted him a television worth rupees 1 lakh 50,000 from their own sources. So income from other source, since LCD is not covered under section, this income from other source, this is exempted from tax, and the total gross total income of Mr. Assassi is 6 lakhs 87,769. Hope you have understood this problem. Let's take another problem on HRA. So you should know the rules of HRA if you want to complete the problem. So the rule for HRA is 50% of salary in case of if the uh, if HRA is given, if the place of residence is Delhi, Mumbai, Kolkata, and Bangalore. In case of other places, it is 40% of salary. Number one. Number two is rent paid minus 10% of salary. Number three is actual HRA received. So in these five cases of employee A, B, C, D, E who are residing at Delhi, Noida, Bangalore, Patna, and Mumbai with the following salary per month and HRA per month and rent paid per month. Let's calculate HRA in the individual cases. So first case, second case, third case, and fourth case. In the first case, it is 50% of salary because it is in Mumbai, Delhi. In second case, it's 40% of salary. In case of third case, it is 50% of salary. In fourth case, it is 40% of salary. And in the fifth case, also it is 40% of salary, except for first and third. First and third, Delhi and Mumbai. Delhi, Mumbai, Kolkata, and Chennai, it is 50% of salary. In case of Noida, Patna, and Bangalore, it is 40% of salary. So let's solve the problem. So 50% of salary. So salary is 4,000, 6,000, 8,000, 3,000, and 5,000. 6,000, that is 50% of salary. Let's see how much is the salary. 4,000, 6,000, 8,000, 3,000, and 4. So 4,000 into 50% of salary. Actual salary received is, so all whatever is written here in the problem, I have taken, so 1,500 and rent paid minus 10%, 10% of salary. How much is the rent paid by him? Let's calculate it. Okay. So in the first case, it is 50% of salary. So 2,000 is 50% of salary, 50% of salary. Second one is HRA received, which is 1,500 per month. So you can convert the data into per month. So 24,000. Now this is 18,000 into 12 is 24,000 into 12 is 18,000, and rent paid minus 10% of salary is rent paid is nil. So rent paid minus 10% of salary also is nil. So among them, whichever is lowest is 18,000 rupees. So 18,000 rupees exempted from tax. So nothing is exemption is, so sorry, the nil lowest amount is zero. So he has not paid any rent. So the amount is zero. So nil is exempted from tax. So 1,500 per month what he is receiving is fully taxable. So with this similar way, you can calculate for the other individual houses. Let's take up another problem on gratuity. So Mr. Bahadur Ram Bahadur retires on 14/1/2015 after serving for a company where he has worked for 16 years and 11 months. So here for our purpose, I am taking 2020 because you have to do problems for the financial year 2019-20. Now at the time of retirement, his basic salary was 44,000. He was also entitled to a dearness allowance of 8,000 per month. On the day of retirement, he received a gratuity of 6 lakh rupees. Compute the total gratuity amount which is exempted from tax and the amount to be included in gross salary. He is covered under Gratuity Act 1972. So, with the given information, let's calculate the amount which is exempted from tax as far as gratuity is concerned. So, first is you should know the rules. The rules are actual gratuity received, number one rule, actual gratuity received. Number two is 10 lakh rupees, the amount which has been specified by the government. Number three is 15 days salary for each completed year of service. So this is already given. This is should be known, and this is the calculation part. This is very crucial. So how did we get this 5 lakhs 20,000, 5 lakhs 10,000? So the rule, just remember, basic salary plus DA into 15 divided by 26, that is 26 working days into half month salary into number of years of service, number of years of service. So basic salary is 44,000, 44,000 plus 8,000 into 15 divided by 26 into number of years of service is 16 years and 11 months is 17 years. So if you calculate, you will get 5 lakhs 10,000 rupees. So among the three, 1, 2, 3, 5 lakhs 10,000 is the lowest. This is exempted from tax. This much amount is exempted from tax. But how much he has received? He has received 6 lakh rupees. So over and above is 90,000 rupees, which is fully taxable. Which is fully taxable. Hope you have understood this particular problem. Next one. Let's take a problem on rent-free furnished accommodation. Rent-free furnished accommodation. Now there are three cases where the city's population is more than 25 lakhs, more than 10 lakhs and less than 25 lakhs, and in the third case it is less than 10 lakhs. With this, and the other information provided is basic salary is 3 lakh 60,000, DA is 48,000, which doesn't form a part of retirement benefits. Bonus is 60,000, commission is 40,000, and city compensatory allowance is 36,000. So whenever rent-free accommodation is provided by the employer to the employee, then the value of the and the employment is private employment, and the accommodation belongs to the employer, and assuming in this case this particular accommodation is belonging to the employer, then first we have to find out rent free unfurnished accommodation. So the value of the per visit in case of rent free unfurnished accommodation is in case if the population is more than 25 lakhs, it is 15% of salary. If the population is in between 10 lakhs and 25 lakhs, it is uh, 10% of salary. The value of the perquisite of rent-free unfunded accommodation is 10% of salary. If the population where this house accommodation is provided is less than 10 lakh rupees, then the value of the perquisite in the form of rent-free unfurnished accommodation is 7.5% of salary. For example, there is a house. This house is been provided to the employee for his accommodation. So the employee is getting some benefit. So how much is the benefit? The benefit is depending upon the type of employment, which is private employment. Number one condition. Number two condition is you have to look at the population where this particular house accommodation is provided. So if the place where the house accommodation is provided is more than the population is 25 lakhs or more, then the value of the accommodation is 15% of salary. With the population of such place where the accommodation provided is greater than 10 lakhs and less than 25 lakhs, it is 10% of salary. And if the population where the house is provided as rent-free accommodation, unfurnished accommodation, the value of the perquisite is 7.5% of salary. And please remember, salary is basic salary plus DA. DA it is forming if it is forming a part of retirement benefits, but in this case it is not forming a part of the retirement benefits, so we have ignored, plus bonus plus fees plus commission plus any part of allowances. So any part of taxable allowances, sorry. So in this case, there is a city compensatory allowance which is fully taxable. Number next, and any retirement, sorry, monetary expenses of the employee paid by the employer. So in this case, there is no transaction of such kind. So we will not take into account. So basic salary is 3 lakh 60,000. Bonus is 60,000. Commission is 40,000, and city compensatory settlement, which is a taxable water allowance, is 3 lakh 36,000. Sorry. So total is 4 lakhs 96,000 for the purpose of calculation of salary, for the purpose of calculation of retirement rent-free unfurnished accommodation. That is the value of the perquisite is 4 lakhs 96,000. So here population greater than 25 lakhs, population greater than 10 lakhs and less than 25 lakhs, population less than 10 lakhs is the three categories 1, 2, 3. Salary is 15%, 10%, and 75% of salary. So 15% of 4 lakhs 96,000, 10% of 4 lakhs 96,000, and 7.5% of 4 lakhs 92,000. So you will get the accommodation value, which is rent-free unfurnished accommodation. Now, so only we have taken into consideration the accommodation, but he is also getting a double benefit. What is the double benefit? He's been provided with the furniture also. So he is getting a double benefit. One is rent-free accommodation. Now we have to find out furnished accommodation, furniture value. So the total furniture is 1 lakh 60,000 rupees. The total value of the furniture is 60,000 rupees. So if the total furniture is 1 lakh 60,000 rupees, then the value of the perquisite in the form of furniture provided is 10% of the value of the furniture for the full year. So we are assuming that he has used it for the full year. So 10% of 1 lakh 60,000 is 16,000 rupees, 16,000 rupees, 16,000 rupees. So first is rent-free accommodation. unfurnished accommodation. First value is rent-free unfurnished accommodation, and the second value is furnisher. So when you add it, you will get rent-free furnished accommodation. So this is the value of the perquisite: 90,400, 65,600, and 53,200. So hope you understood all these problems. If you have any doubts, you can get back to me on my WhatsApp number. If you have any doubts, please get back to me on my WhatsApp number. And looking forward for some more numerical problems in the next session. And see you soon. Stay connected with me. Watch my videos on YouTube on various subjects like salary, direct taxes, indirect taxes, statistics, research methodology, logistics management, inventory management, and many more on and stock market and financial management and ratio analysis and balance sheet analysis. Thank you so much for your patience listening. See you soon. Stay safe, stay at home, and God bless you. Bye bye. See you. Take care. All the best.